Hi, I'm Angie, and I'm going to make some chocolate chip cookies today.
Cookie!
I'd like to dedicate this video to my girls, Rosalind and Leigh, who I've made cookies for many, many years. And whenever I make chocolate chip cookies, people always say to me, they don't taste like my chocolate chip cookies. What do you do different? Because I do use the Toll House cookie recipe. Love that. Used it for many years. And the only thing I do different is just one little step, and that's I add a lot of vanilla. So they always ask me, why are mine different? So I want to show you just a couple of other things that maybe might cause yours to be different than mine. And so I hope that one day you'll be able to enjoy yours.
Now what starts with the letter C?
So I'm going to start by, you just look at the recipe. It is exactly the recipe except for one little change, and that's I use a little more vanilla, but we'll get to that in a minute. So the first thing we do is we just mix our dry ingredients, just like the recipe calls for. It's 2 1/4 cup of flour, all-purpose, teaspoon of soda, teaspoon of salt. That's all that you do there. And I always whisk it together, make sure it's good, well incorporated. That's good. Now you've got your ingredients. You've got your butter that you're going to have to cream. It should be soft, really soft. Your sugar. That's okay. Your butter was 1 cup. Your sugar is 3/4 white, 3/4 cup brown. And we're going to just mix that real well. Fluff it up for just a few minutes. So it's all incorporated. We're going to add the eggs. And I'm going to have to stop it for a minute. Let me try to get a little bit of the dough back down. Okay, and then it's not, you can see it's still too lumpy. That's not good. We'll keep moving it. There we go. Okay. As soon as that's ready, I'm going to be adding the eggs. And that looks pretty good. Here's the eggs. Everything's the same as the recipe on the back of the package. Okay, that's just about good. Most important ingredient is vanilla. Doesn't matter what kind. I like the tones, but you can use, as long as it's vanilla extract. No substitutions there. Have to have it. Your cookies will never be good if you use anything but vanilla, pure vanilla extract. And the recipe calls for a teaspoon. I use a full tablespoon. Okay, there we go. Full tablespoon. Mix that good. That's the only difference in this recipe. And you notice I don't really beat it to death. I just kind of, mix it in there. You don't need to over mix. And then sorry about that. I guess I didn't tighten that very good today. That's funny. Alright, there we go. That's funny. Okay, so I'm going to mix that in there, and we'll want to make sure that gets to be well incorporated. I'll kind of stir that flour down in just a minute as soon as it starts to mix better. Okay, can you stop that? Get it down a little bit more. Okay. Obviously, needs a little bit more mixing. This is kind of a stiff dough, so if you got a good mixer, it makes a difference. But okay, that looks great. Now, all we have to do now is stir in the nuts and the chocolate chips. And the nuts, it's a cup, and I like a generous cup, and 2 cups of chocolate chips. And really, at this point, it's kind of a hand thing. You're not going to be using your mixer to kind of incorporate this too much because you don't want to break up your chocolate chips. You just kind of want to mix them in there. And, you know, you can just stir it best you can. And now, this dough, when it's well incorporated, what I'm going to do with it is I'm going to put it into the refrigerator. I never cook my dough when it's at room temperature. They tend to get too, they spread out too much. So, and we live in Florida, so it can be too hot in the kitchen. So I always chill them, and I usually chill them for a day or so. But you know, if you're in a rush, several hours, or and then what I do is I chill the dough, pull it out, and I'll start cooking with it. If I have an option, I always freeze the dough. And what I'll show you in a minute what I do to do that. So that's done with the mix. Okay. So this is frozen dough that I've already frozen. And I froze it last week. And I will take a scoop like so, and once with my finished dough is good and cold, I'll scoop it. I put it into a container like this, and I'll just freeze it. And then when I need a dozen or so, I just pull them out of here, and they're always ready to go. And I think it might make a difference in the way that the cookies bake too. So I think it's a good idea. And so I'm going to show you from the frozen dough what to do. So now it's all scooped. I would just take one out. I'll put 3 or 4 on a pan if I only want that many. And bake them. Ready to go into a 375 degree oven. And so let me say 2 things about the pan itself. Don't get a real heavy pan for your cookies. They tend to get it too brown on the bottom if you use, a really heavy pan. I like the kind of mid-weight pans, and the dark pans make a nice color on them. And so, what you'll do is you'll bake it. They say 9 to 11 minutes on the recipe. I usually use it about. I usually check them when they're frozen at about 11 to 12 minutes, and then we'll look at them, keep looking at them, and then I'll show you what to look for when you want to see if it's a good time to take the cookie out. So I'm going to set my timer for 11 minutes, and then we'll be back with you. To show you, I use this little scoop and just kind of round it up, and I just put it in here. And this is how I store my dough. This is chilled. This makes it easier to work with. And then you'll just go and keep doing that. And then you layer them. And once you get a bottom layer, you'll put a little plastic wrap or wax paper on top and layer another. This is a small container, but sometimes I'll give a neighbor a container like this so they can cook them whenever they're ready for them, so that they can be hot for them.
The hatch is coming open. Okay. It's open. Verified. I'm moving outside. Okay, I'm letting go.
We're probably just about ready to take these out. Let me look at them. Yep, they look great. Okay. They're no longer shiny. They look done. And yet they don't look like they're just going to be hard and tough. So let's get them off the rack, like immediately. No reason to leave them on the rack. Otherwise, they will keep cooking, which you don't want them to do, because you're looking at them now and you're thinking this is just right. So you take them off the pan. Now, you notice I put them on a cooling rack. I didn't put them on a brown paper bag. I didn't put them on parchment paper, didn't do any of that. You need to let them cool on a rack like this. So they'll just for a few minutes, it doesn't take long, and they'll be, if you want to eat them hot, you can, but they'll, just a few minutes on here is great. Now, these are just a few reminders. Okay, first and foremost, use vanilla, real vanilla, and the best kind you can get. It will make a difference, and if you leave it out or you don't use enough of it, your cookies will never be good. Secondly, make sure that you use a good pan, not too heavy. See, this has a little flimsy, little bit. It makes for a better cookie. You don't have to worry constantly that your cookies are getting too brown on the bottom, which is usually what happens, and they're not really good if they're too brown on the bottom. Remember that the temperature of your room when you're cooking, that's why I like to freeze my cookie dough, because then when it goes onto the pan, they're nice and cold. They're not going to spread out and be all over the plate, all over your pan. And which, we've all had those cookies that are real thin, and they just lose something when they're like that. So you don't want to do that. And just remember to enjoy them. And, okay, so now let's taste it. You can smell them in the house. They smell so good. And all the girls, they always come running when they smell that. I can get them out of bed early if they smell these cookies down the hall. So this is For Ros and Leigh. And all of those that have enjoyed them over the years, I hope that you'll be able to make them at home and think of me.
C is for cookie, that's good enough for me. C is for cookie, that's good enough for me. C is for cookie, that's good enough for me. Oh, cookie, cookie, cookie starts with C. Oh, C is for cookie, that's good enough for me. C is for cookie, that's good enough for me. C is for cookie, that's good enough for me. Oh, cookie, cookie, cookie starts with C. Hey, you know what? A round cookie with one bite out of it looks like a C. A round donut with one bite out of it also looks like a C. But it is not as good as a cookie. Oh, the moon sometimes looks like a C, but you can't eat that. So, C is for cookie, that's good enough for me. Yeah, C is for cookie, that's good enough for me. C is for cookie, that's good enough for me. Oh, cookie, cookie, cookie starts with C. Yeah! Cookie, cookie, cookie starts with C. Oh boy! Cookie, cookie, cookie starts with C.
Can't beat my, no you can't beat my leather shoes. I have got some leather shoes. Can't beat my, no you can't beat my leather shoes. I have got some leather shoes, leather shoes, leather shoes. I've got some shoes, leather shoes, leather shoes. I've got some shoes.
The time has come for this cookie. Nom 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 nom. Oh, nom 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 nom. Ha. Bye bye.